Hi, and welcome back to The Real Deal.
Shut up, loser. Hi, and welcome back to The Real Deal.
I just said that.
You're only here for pity. I carry this show on my back.
Okay, I thought I was done getting bullied. All right, it's 2018, all right? It's the year of friendship, love, peace, and crappy memes.
It is? I didn't get the memo because of all the cannibals roaming around Ball State posing as TV hosts.
Wait.
Title sequence, go! Welcome back to The Real Deal, Ball State's premier entertainment news show. I'm your host, Anastasia Scott.
And I'm Tyler Landis.
Jonah Hill's back, and unfortunately, he's not looking as meaty as ever.
Unfortunately. Changing gears, I've been watching Maniac recently, and it's been crazy with all these pharmaceuticals.
Too bad. Druggies don't taste as good.
Taste is good. What are you talking about?
Nate Richard, here he is with a Maniac review.
Whoa, no, we're going to completely skip over the fact that you just said druggies taste good?
Nate, please start talking.
When it was first announced that Emma Stone and Jonah Hill were reuniting for a new limited series on Netflix, directed by Cary Fukunaga, I was instantly intrigued. The two shared electric chemistry 11 years ago in the comedy Superbad, and director Cary Fukunaga is probably one of the most creative filmmakers working today. His film Beasts of No Nation was beautifully made, but was also one of the most difficult films I've ever had to sit through. And his work on True Detective Season 1 is some of the most impressive direction I've seen on television. Though I now firmly stand in the camp that these three artists' best work lies in the new Netflix limited series, Maniac. There's a lot to the plot of Maniac, but the gist of it is Emma Stone and Jonah Hill play Annie and Owen, two mentally ill adults who partake in a drug trial that could actually cure them of all of their struggles. These trials take them inside their minds into other realities where they confront their own personal demons. Things start to spiral out of control, and soon enough, Annie and Owen, despite not knowing each other before the trials, find themselves interfering with each other's visions. Maniac is totally unlike anything I've seen before. It does feel a little bit like Black Mirror, and the world that it's set in does feel a tad reminiscent of Blade Runner. But pushing that aside, this is some of the most ambitious television I've seen in quite a long time. Fukunaga does a fantastic job taking the viewers to all the different realities, and he puts his own unique touch into each of them. The audiences are transported to the 80s, to a fantasy world full of elves, and a not-so-normal UN meeting, just to name a few. Emma Stone and Jonah Hill have never been better than they are here. Yes, Stone is even better than she was in her Oscar-winning role in La La Land. Here, she's playing against type, in a role that's much more subdued than what we typically expect from her. Hill also gives an awards-worthy performance that is also quite different than anything we have seen him in before. He doesn't have the usual snarky and loudmouthed attitude that he typically carries. Here he's much more subdued. The supporting cast is also very impressive, especially Justin Theroux and Sally Field, whose characters are quite interesting. Maniac is a show that takes a lot of risks, and with a lot of risks, there's a high chance that some of these risks won't pay off. That is true here. The show does get a little too weird and a little too uncomfortable at certain times. That aside, Maniac is one of the best things Netflix has ever put out, and features some of the best performances and some of the best directing I've seen all year. It's able to capture mental illness in a way that hasn't really ever been captured before. I'm going to give Maniac a 4.5 out of 5. That's all I have for now. I'm Nate Richard, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Nate, for that wonderful review.
Isn't Lil Wayne a cannibal?
Why? Why are you bringing this up all the time?
Well, you know, Lil Wayne, also known as Wheezy.
Yeah, what about him?
Well, he ate those people.
Pretty sure that's not a thing.
Yeah, I thought he went to jail and then got out.
Pretty sure if he went to jail for eating people, he wouldn't get out.
Well, he's got to get out sometime. He's easy breezy Lil Weezy.
Okay, it's Lil Wayne or Wheezy, not both.
I think I know more about Weezy than you do. I ate his liver with some nice fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Okay, Hannibal Lecter. All right, if you know more about Wheezy, what's the F stand for?
Rob, care to help me out with some talk about Lil Wayne?
It's finally here, folks. Lil Wayne's highly anticipated album, The Carter 5, was released last Friday. All right, highly anticipated is a bit of an understatement. Despite some of his mixtapes that did not live up to the hype, his last album from the Carter series was in 2011. The reason is due to complications between him and his label Cash Money. Lil Wayne felt like he wasn't getting paid enough for his last albums, and he was right. His label would not pay him the right amount for his work and also prevented him from releasing his album. This caused a many-year struggle of him trying to end his contracts with the label and getting the right amount of money he deserves. Well, it looks like he finally broke free from the shackles of his contracts and was able to release a Carter 5. Man, was it worth it. The album is comprised of 22 songs and features artists such as the late XXXTentacion, Travis Scott, Nicki Minaj, Kendrick Lamar, Snoop Dogg, and his daughter Regina Carter. Some producers included on this project include Swiss Beats, Zaytoven, Manny Fresh, Metro Boomin, and many more. All these other artists do a great job of providing their own style to the project while still making it sound like a Lil Wayne album. At one second, the rhythm is somber, while the next, it's upbeat and makes you want to dance. While within a couple of minutes, you're just vibing out to a hard, gritty beat. This is something I particularly like in albums, and this does it very well. As far as the lyrics and content is concerned, it is nothing short of incredible. Lil Wayne is hailed as one of the greatest and one of the most influential hip-hop artists of all time. This album does a good job proving that. He delivers bar after bar, witty line after witty line, story on top of story, and he does it all with ease, which is simply amazing. He has definitely not lost his ability to perform on the mic, which is something I was afraid of, being that I was not a huge fan of his past few projects. But this particular album, in a way, took me back to my childhood listening to Lil Wayne for the first time, while at the same time hearing a new, more matured sound. My favorite songs include the upbeat Uproar, the emotional Dark Side of the Moon featuring Nicki Minaj, the storytelling Mona Lisa featuring Kendrick Lamar, and the feel-good Took Its Time. Overall, I enjoyed this album. It's Weezy F Baby, and the F is for fantastic. It's Lil Wayne I grew up on, while still hearing him be able to keep up with this age of hip-hop's new sound, a sound that he helped create. If you're a Lil Wayne fan, then you'll definitely enjoy this album. If you're not, then I still recommend that you listen to the album, although I don't think you'll find much interest in it, being that it is a Lil Wayne sounding project. Despite that, at least give it a chance. Being that Lil Wayne is one of the greatest to ever do it, your opinion might change. That's all I got for my review of Lil Wayne's The Carter 5. Until next time, I'm Rob White.
Thank you, Rob, for that great segment.
It wasn't great. What does the F stand for?
Well, I'm glad you reminded me. What does it stand for?
I came here to be a host, not to be interrogated on my new diet.
Oh, you're on a new diet? You want to tell me about it more after the break?
Almost every single person has told me they liked the way I sounded, but that they didn't like the way I look.
I think you're beautiful. Hey.
What?
I just want to take another look at you.
In all the good times I find myself longing for change.
Here's what we're gonna do. You come sing that song that I love.
No, I can't do that.
Here we go.
It's not funny. Jack.
Look at me.
All you gotta do is trust me. That's all you gotta do.
6 weeks ago, a man died. Jumped through a 6-story window with a sheet tied around his neck. But he didn't leave much behind. But he did have a climate-controlled storage locker filled with old vinyl records, thousands of them.
If you could have any record in the world, what would it be?
I'm gonna tell you a really good story. I'm Eddie Brock. I'm a reporter. I always seem to find myself questioning something the government may not be looking at. I found something really bad. And I have been... Who said that? Taken.
You know, your skin would go really well with this hot sauce lotion I got.
I'm beginning to suspect that you're a cannibal.
Oh, you're such a beautiful boy.
Thank you. I mean, they've even got a new movie about me coming out, you know. It's coming out soon.
I don't think you're entertaining enough to hold people's attention for 2 hours.
I mean, I can hold this show.
We just turn the cameras off and leave while you sit here in the dark talking to yourself.
Okay, that doesn't count, all right? I'm talking about my 3 new movies, all right? Nutcracker and the Four Realms, Wildlife, and Beautiful Boy.
You only know those because Shelby Deal told you about them.
And she'll tell me about them again. Shelby?
Hello everyone, get excited because I'm about to talk about 3 movies that come out soon. The movies are very different from each other, but they all excite some part of my movie-loving self. The first trailer I watched was The Nutcracker and the Four Realms, and trust me, it's not the Nutcracker you all remember. It is a little darker as Disney has taken to doing the revival of fairy tales. Not that I'm complaining. The movie follows a young girl, Clara, who finds herself in a parallel world in search of a very important key. In this parallel world are 4 realms, one of which has gone down a very dark path, and it's Clara's duty to save it. I don't know about you, but The Nutcracker was one of my favorite stories as a child, so to say I'm excited for this movie is an understatement. After seeing the trailer, I'm even more excited. The best part of this trailer is that it showed what Disney does best with their live-action films. The spectacle of it all. The trailer showed the 4 realms, the land of the snowflakes, the land of the flowers, and the land of the sweets, and the 4th realm. It was beautiful, fantastical, and very Tim Burton-esque. The land of the snowflakes was this beautiful winter wonderland, a forest with huge trees covered with snow, seemingly untouched. The land of flowers and the land of sweets were both outrageous with different colors. But what really got me was the contrast of the 4th realm. It was like an abandoned carnival. It even had that creepy entrance arch with a clown/carny on it that was discolored and worn out. There was even a creepy tent where clowns popped out. Not only did this aspect of the trailer show the spectacle of the movie, but it got at the heart of the conflict, restoring the 4th realm. This movie comes out November 2nd, and I will definitely go see it. The next trailer I watched was Wildlife. The movie takes place in the 1960s in Montana during a raging forest fire. It follows a family where a father loses his job and then goes to fight that fire. That decision puts the family in crisis because the son has to become the man of the house and the mother starts having an affair. I'll be honest, I only watched this trailer because Jake Gyllenhaal was in it, and I wasn't disappointed because he's usually good in indie films like this, case in point, Donnie Darko. The best part of this trailer is that you can tell that the movie focuses on how the son feels in all of this. It has scenes where the mother questions if the son thinks his father has a woman where he is fighting the forest fires, and a scene where the father asks about the mother doing something he should know about. It even has a scene where the son drops the mother off at her lover's house. This seems really interesting because it focuses on the whole dynamic of family and not just the relationship of the mother and father. It's extremely poignant because when there's a child from a relationship, the 2 people in the relationship are not the only ones affected. There was just something about this trailer that just painted a portrait that screamed real life and real problems. With today's spectacle-driven movie market, it was refreshing to see something so common and not in a bad way. It was real, and art should portray real life at times. The movie comes out October 19th. I will make a point to go see it, and not just for Jake Gyllenhaal. The last trailer I'm going to review is that of Beautiful Boy. Get ready, guys, because this one looks like a tearjerker. In fact, I may or may not have teared up just watching the trailer. The movie follows a father and a teenage son whose relationship with each other is tested when the son gets addicted to meth. The best part of the trailer is the opening scene because it shows what the movie is going to be dealing with. Is when the father and son meet up in the diner and they try to talk about what's happening. The father just wants to help, but the son seems like he doesn't want help at this point. It shows the essence of the struggle that the movie is focusing on. Another cool part of the trailer is that it shows the movie touching on questions surrounding addiction. The father tries to reconcile the son he raised and the son that's addicted to drugs. The son talks about how if his addiction is a disease or not. It's a movie about a very topical subject in our society, and it will be interesting to see how it is tackled in this film. Also, Timothy Chalamet and Steve Carell are in it, so it has to be good. The movie comes out October 12th, and I'm going to go see it, even if it means crying in the theater like an idiot. I'm Shelby Deal, and thanks for letting me talk about movies.
Segment for you, thanks, Shelby.
I think you just had a stroke.
That'll explain my sudden craving for flesh.
Just like Kanye.
His sudden craving for flesh?
No, silly. He says, yee.
What do you mean? He says yee.
Yees, he does.
Yee?
What?
Here's Devin for your daily dose of Kanye.
Kanye West is synonymous with controversy. In 2005, during a televised benefit concert for Hurricane Katrina, Kanye stated, quote, "George Bush doesn't care about black people," end quote, to criticize Bush's efforts toward the hurricane's aftermath. In 2009, he jumped on stage during the MTV VMAs during Taylor Swift's acceptance speech for Best Female Video to praise Beyonce's Single Ladies video and saying it should have won. However, among all this controversy, we must remember some of Kanye's accomplishments when thinking back to where he started his music career. When living in Chicago at 13 years old, Kanye's mother helped pay for him to record his first record in a basement studio where the microphone was hanging from the ceiling by a wire hanger. In 2000, he hit a pivotal moment in his career when he started producing for Rockefeller Records. In 2001, he gained recognition on Jay-Z's The Blueprint for producing tracks Izzo and Takeover, which hit the Billboard Top 10. In October of 2002, Kanye was involved in a nearly fatal car crash when he fell asleep at the wheel on his way home from a California recording studio. His jaw was left broken and had to be wired shut through reconstructive surgery. He returned to the studio 2 weeks later to record Through the Wire, which appeared on his debut album, The College Dropout. 11 albums, 21 Grammys, and 68 nominations later, Kanye is gearing up for the release of Yandhi. Just this year, Kanye has worked on 5 albums with artists Kid Cudi, Pusha T, Nas, and Tiana Taylor. He announced he will release Yandhi, the sequel to 2013 album Yeezus, on September 29th following a performance on Saturday Night Live. With the rollout, Kanye shortened his name to simply Ye. His reasoning behind this is that he believes Ye is the most used word in the Bible meaning you. He doesn't want to represent one person, but everyone. On Saturday Night Live, Ye performed I Love It with Lil Pump, We Got Love with Tiana Taylor, and his song Ghost Town with 070 Shake, Kid Cudi, and Ty Dolla $ign from his latest album Ye. After SNL ended, a video was captured with Ye ranting about his promise to run for president in 2020, his dedicated support for President Trump, how he was bullied by the SNL backstage cast for wearing his Make America Great Again hat on stage, and how one-sided and liberal he believes the media is. Despite all of the attention drawn, Yandhi is still yet to come out. Many speculate this is due to Lil Wayne releasing the Carter 5 on September 28th, with Ye already knowing he would lose out to Weezy, conceding in a tweet he would come out second in sales. In the past, Ye has announced confirmed release dates, but goes back on his promise and delays them. He did this back in 2004 with The College Dropout, and more recently with 2016's The Life of Pablo, which had 3 title changes, Swish, Waves, and So Help Me God, with an original release date of February 14th. It was available on his website for a few hours before Ye pulled it and said in a tweet that it would never be released other than on the streaming service Tidal. Originally, that is the only place it could be found, which prompted millions of fans to illegally download the album. Ye changed his mind and put the album out on all streaming services after announcing his $53 million debt. As for Yandhi, Kim Kardashian West announced it will be delayed by 2 months and released on November 23rd. Ye says he felt his roots when he moved back to Chicago and wants to take it a step further by recording it in Africa and incorporating the traditional sounds of the continent. For The Real Deal, I'm Devin with the Nay, Sticka.
Thank ye for ye wonderful segment.
Stop. Now you're pushing it, Tyler.
No. I too, for now on, will go by 2 letters.
Ty?
No.
I'm gonna ignore you and go to our shameless plug for this week. This week we've got Take 5 featuring the lovely Nate Richard, Matthew Simmons, and Ben Nesson.
Koba in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So in the Planet of the Apes movies and the new ones, it's easy to have like a human as a villain because it's about Caesar's rise to power. And what I thought when those trailers came out is that Gary Oldman would be that villain. But what we got was Koba as a villain, and Toby Kebbell. He's just as good as Andy Serkis in that
I agree.
performance. Like he doesn't speak much, but there's so much to that character. Like just how deranged and just how he has a backstory almost. I really thought he was like the best villain I've seen in any of those Planet of the Apes movies. More than I think David Oyelowo was the villain in the Rise.
And then Woody Harrelson and
which he was a good war for the Planet of the
And
Apes.
that's already a good competition to have to begin with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we should probably tie back into your whole cannibalism thing before we get too off track.
Well, you know, now it really is an American Horror Story.
So, what about me?
I'm gonna have to give a hard pass on that.
So you don't want to eat me?
It's not you, it's me. And by me, I mean I have higher standards.
Okay, see, you're still bullying me, all right? After all these segments in this episode, you haven't changed.
Maybe if you weren't a four-eyed freak.
What do you wear contacts? You have glasses.
Potato, potato. Here's Liz with an American Horror Story Apocalypse.
It's finally October, the spookiest time of the year, which means it's appropriate for pumpkin spice lattes, flannels, and watching nearly the entire cast of American Horror Story Apocalypse get killed off in the latest episode. Yeah, they did that. If you're not already caught up, here's what you need to know. It's the end of the world, quite literally. We're thrown into the peak of World War III in the not-so-distant future, and nuclear bombs are expected to make contact within moments, seizing life as we know it. However, fortunate for some, there are safe havens, underground living facilities open to the rich, and a couple chosen few with special DNA. We're introduced to the concept of the Cooperative, an unknown entity running these safe havens. Now that's all the background information I'm going to reveal for now because there is just way too much to talk about, and if I go into further details, I'll just bore you. Seriously, just go watch it. The series co-creator Ryan Murphy announced in June that this season would officially be the crossover fans have been waiting for between two of the most successful stories, Murder House and Coven, which led to a lot of speculation as to how the crossover would work out. But now it seems that all the pieces are just finally starting to be put into place. As predicted in Murder House, the Antichrist has been revealed as Michael Langdon, as he is the product of a living and a non-living person. Michael Langdon has already been introduced early on in the Apocalypse series. Ever since his first appearance on the show, there have been a lot of biblical references, making fans wonder if his intentions are to rebirth the world Adam and Eve style with maybe an evil twist. The Coven side of the crossover was pretty absent in the first episodes until the last minute of the episode 3, where three of the favorite witches, Cordelia Fox, Madison Montgomery, and Myrtle Snow, finally made an appearance and seem to be building their coven, perhaps to fight Michael Langdon. Now, I know what you're already thinking, where is the rest of the coven? The rest are expected to appear in episode 6, Return to Murder House, which I'm assuming must be a flashback because I wouldn't understand how the house could withstand the nuclear blast, but with all the supernatural energy surrounding the house, I could stand to be corrected. This episode is also going to be directed by series veteran Sarah Paulson. Evan Peters is also expected to direct one of the episodes in the season, but production has not yet been revealed. American Horror Story Apocalypse airs Wednesday nights on FX.
Thank you, Liz.
And finally, here's Michael. Okay, no more singing. You sing one more time and I quit. Please change the topic, Michael. Michael!
Eden, real name Jonathan Ing, is an Irish singer, songwriter, and producer. I first heard him in 2014 when he was making music under his previous moniker, The Eden Project. I stumbled onto his song Statues on YouTube. I instantly fell in love with this song. It's wonderfully crafted indie electronic song with singing and lyrics that really hit home. You can feel the emotion in them. It features two vocalists, Eden and Leah Kelly. They complement each other perfectly, and it allows for a climactic ending where there are three different overlapping sets of lyrics. After hearing this song, I learned of the EP it came from titled Kairos. The next song I heard was the track of the same name, Kairos, which is an ancient Greek word meaning the right, critical, or opportune moment for action. This song starts in a subdued manner that slowly builds and leads into the lyrics. Throughout the first verse, we are slowly building up to a very heavy drop. Needlessly to say, I was a fan. He released 3 more EPs under the Eden Project: Entrance, Bipolar Paradise, and Final Call. The last EP is when he announced that the Eden Project would be ending, and it was a spectacular send-off with some experimental tracks, covers of Blank Space and Crazy in Love. It all culminated into the final track, Times Like These. This song is an epic farewell to the Eden Project, marking the end of an era. The lyrics gave insight into how he felt about moving forward, and it had an air of subdued optimism. After this, fans were left wondering when and what kind of music he would release next. Later that year, though, many fans' questions were answered when the first EP as Eden was released. End Credits featured 7 tracks and was our first look into how his new music would be different. This EP was still very much aligned with the Final Call, with many songs still featuring an electronic feel mixed with more conventional songwriting styles. His next release would come in the form of an EP titled I Think You Think Too Much of Me. It opens with the song Sex, a complete departure from previous styles that focused more on traditional instrumentation and percussion. The other tracks on the EP felt more like his previous releases, and the EP also featured 3 re-releases from old Eden Project songs, Fume, XO, and Circles. The next release was his first full-length album, Vertigo. The album, 3 years in the making, features many new styles, some with orchestral backings, a more atmospheric feel, and even chanting from the crowd of one of his live shows. But with all this, the one thing that never changes is the authenticity of his vocals. You can really feel this in one of my favorite tracks, Icarus, which is about Eden's own struggle in balancing his personal life with the life of musical success and touring. This is reflected powerfully through the lyrics and vocals with lines like, "So tell me how you really feel now. Ain't been asked that in a while, yet you still hope that they'll hear you out. Suck it up, someone killed to just be standing where you're standing now. So how are you gonna scream my name when I gave it all? I've nothing left to give you because I'm so burnt out and lost. And I got all I want. I thought I'd feel something. Guess I'll never know how to live with a good thing. And because you don't care if I'm still bleeding, you just scream until you hear my name." In these, you can see that his lyrics are raw and real, and that is what I really like about him. He's so genuine, introspective, and not afraid to show himself in every track. You really get the feeling that he is making this as an outlet for himself. And the best way I have to sum up Eden as an artist is his response in an interview to the question, "What do you want to be remembered for?" He said, "There are 2 sides of me for that. I would like to be remembered for making good music or whatever, but I would rather that my music had a positive impact and that it's almost remembered in that way. Like, you know how a random act of kindness can have a butterfly effect because people tend to pass that kind of thing along. And if my presence in a room or a conversation or in pop culture through music has that effect on anyone, that is good enough for me. Because I'm just making this for myself. I'm writing music as a compulsion that I love doing, and it helps me figure out myself and navigate life. So whatever else is a bonus." For The Real Deal, I've been Michael Smith. Back to you, Tyler.
Thank you, Michael, for that poppin' spotlight.
Jeezy Wheezy, Tyler. Never do that again.
Never do that again.
Well, stay tuned for our final word.
This is the grill for you. I call it the Obama. Como te llamas? Me llamo the pit bull. I call this the big black machine. Lisa, you're the best thing that ever happened to me.
Oh my God. Do you smell gas?
A little bit. Came out, but I was nervous. That's just a quick one.
No, that's,
It'd still be out there.
You said it fell from the sky!
Gary, calm down. You know how you get.
Okay, I'll try, but I'm just so scared.
Son, it can't be true.
Migo, you will be banished from the village until you are ready to tell us the truth.
I know what I saw, and I'm gonna prove it. Is it too late to have second thoughts?
Yes! If you die, can I have all your worldly possessions?
Flame!
Right, sorry, when you die.
Let's do this.
How was your trip?
This old hag is my neighbor.
I'm relieved to see you didn't inherit your uncle's freakishly oversized head.
My God, did that withered purple skeleton just speak?
You'll see, it's quite different here.
Have a look around.
You're perfectly safe.
That's safe?
as long as it's fed.
Do you know what a warlock is, Lewis?
A boy witch.
I think they're a little more than boy witches.
So, if you've been watching the show, then you should know that I have this theme of fangirling. I love it, and I hope you do too. Well, it's that time of the show once again for Tyler's fangirling to once again take place. Now I've done actors, directors, and whole darn TV shows. This time, I'm gonna take a step away from the screen, take a look at the scene, the music scene that is, because I'm fangirling over a musician this week. A rapper with a sexy British accent, and also did a bit of acting as Grey Worm in Game of Thrones. I'll give you one final hint. His real name is Jacob Anderson. Any guesses? Well, if you guessed Raleigh Ritchie, you'd be right, and I'm proud of you for knowing who that is. Now, I came across Raleigh Ritchie a little over 2 years ago when watching an episode of Game Grumps where he was raging while playing Mario Kart. I found him absolutely hilarious, and since I'm a fan of music, like most humans, I had to check out more of his work. Now, when I looked him up, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that he didn't do comedy music, but the exact opposite, music that made me feel. Most of the tracks are sad and make me feel those familiar feelings, music that helped me get through a bad spell of depression I was going through at the time. He was just what I needed in my life. Now, not all of his music is in the same style, obviously. I mean, he's not Sam Smith. In fact, some of my favorite songs of his aren't in that style at all. The first song I came across when looking him up was a song called Stronger Than Ever. Now, this song, hands down, is in my top 5 songs by him. He brings such power with his voice, and every time I hear the track, it gives me chills, even now. His music is relatable and makes me feel like no matter how bad things get, I can always come back, and it makes me feel like I'm not so alone in this world. Now, one of his newest songs, and one of his most popular, is a song titled Time in a Tree, which is by far my favorite song of his. It's a song that helps my anxiety, and it's all about wanting a place where he can be alone and wanting to be himself. And it relates to me so much. Now, I may seem like someone who's unapologetically themselves. I mean, I sing in public for crying out loud, but I am constantly riddled with social anxiety, and I am not as much of myself as I would like to be. But with Riley's music, I feel like it's okay to be more and more myself, and I slowly, very slowly, am breaking more and more into my true self, and it feels great. Now, if you're a person, then you most likely have struggled with depression one time or another, and maybe you have been dealing with it right now. I implore you to check out Raleigh Ritchie, right? Not only to show him some love, but also to hopefully make you feel a little love as well. And if you aren't feeling down right now, then he also has something for you as well. His variety of music has something for any mood and any type of day you're having. All right, now I'm going to kick it off to Anastasia, who's talking about spooky stuff.
It's finally spooky season, one of the best seasons in my opinion. It's time for sweaters, copious amounts of candy, costumes, and possibly the best part of it, finally being October, is scary movies. With so many films being produced every year, it's really hard to find any solid scary movie. Ones without the awful tropes or the use of the same old horror formula, or an overabundance of gore or jump scares. So to help cut back on your time scrolling through Netflix to find a half-decent movie to get you in the mood for Halloween, I'm going to recommend a film called Train to Busan. Off the bat, I will tell you Train to Busan is a South Korean-made film, which means you have to read subtitles. So if you don't like reading subtitles, or you've got some weird prejudice against foreign films, then this movie probably isn't for you. Anyways, Train to Busan was produced back in 2016 and is available on everyone's favorite streaming site, Netflix. It follows a father, Suk-woo, who has recently separated from his wife. He is currently taking care of his young daughter, Suan, and the two don't have the best relationship. Not to say Suk-woo doesn't love his daughter, but he is a bit of a workaholic and can't seem to make time for his daughter. With Suan's birthday a day away, all she wants to do is go visit her mother in Busan. Reluctantly, her dad boards a train with her to ensure she arrives safely. Everything seems really normal until a woman charges on board unbeknownst to anyone else on the train. Ugly veins crawling up her leg, and as the train pulls away from the station, it's revealed that what she was running away from was a horde of zombies. The woman is quick to infect whole train cars, and Suk-woo and Suan are quick to get to safety, meeting along the way a pregnant woman and her husband, 2 older women, a baseball team, and several other patrons. With each town they pass, they become more and more desperate to find somewhere safe, and it appears that the only place left is Busan. I know, you're probably all thinking, what? Another zombie movie? And I know, that's what I thought originally when I watched it for the first time last year. Today's media is oversaturated with zombie content, ever since The Walking Dead and all of its spin-offs, along with movies like World War Z, Resident Evil, and etc. However, I think Train to Busan is so great because of a couple of things that really make it stand out compared to the other films, games, TV series, or books in the same genre. Train to Busan has an end objective, unlike a lot of media featuring zombies. The film is set to end at Busan, and you know this pretty much from the moment you turn on the movie. It doesn't keep diverging from the ultimate goal, and it's on a one-way course, and it doesn't randomly go off the rails for some random plot point that doesn't contribute to the whole story. Another great thing about the movie is the fact that they clearly set the rules for the zombies. There aren't any exceptions, which is a pitfall a lot of zombie media has. And they do this early on, so you aren't going through half the movie wondering what the protagonist can do to beat the zombies. And finally, I think the strongest quality of the film is the relationships between the characters. Granted, any film with good characters and their development, I'm a sucker for. But I think Train to Busan really gets it. None of the characters are perfect, and they're selfish and scared, and they make mistakes, but they keep trying and pushing to survive. They grow to care about one another and try their hardest. Particularly, the relationship between Suk-woo and Suan is my favorite. I'm a sucker for a father-daughter relationship, and this one doesn't sugarcoat anything. They both get frustrated and worried and angry and scared, and most of the time these emotions are directed to one another. But they still love each other, and their relationship is the heart of the entire film. Now, I'll stop talking about it so I don't ruin anything for anybody, but Train to Busan is a superior horror film that stands above the flood of not really great scary movies. It goes against common cookie-cutter formula that we often get with Hollywood. So instead of scrolling aimlessly for a movie on Netflix and setting on something halfway decent, go watch Train to Busan.
I hope all that talk about zombies got that cannibalism and mean attitude towards me out of your system.
It actually did. Talking about them was a pretty cathartic experience for the end of the show.
Thanks for staying tuned through our 4th episode. If you want more from The Real Deal, check out our website, Facebook, and Twitter pages for news and updates on all things entertainment. I'm Tyler Landis.
And I'm Anastasia Scott. See you next time on The Real Deal.